Anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide. These are the biggest issues that our teenagers are struggling with right now. How many of you own a smartphone? I can assure you that 99.9% of you watching own either a smartphone or some other kind of device. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you today that using a smartphone is bad for you, because the truth is, using smartphones is not bad for you. And we do use that information that's at the tip of our fingers. I do want to talk to you today, though, about the link between social media and mental health illness that is promptly growing in our society. This pandemic was actually here before COVID-19 pandemic. And unfortunately, we did not see the damage it had done until it had widely spread. If you're a parent, I'm sure you've noticed some changes in your teenager. And no, I'm not talking about natural changes that come with puberty. I'm talking about mental health changes in your teenager that are dramatically declining. Something happened between 2011 and 2013 that more girls in America were hospitalized than ever before due to self-harm. Studies done by the National Study of Drug Use and Health in the US showed that Gen Z, also called iGen, these are teenagers born between 1995 and 2012, were the most affected. Today, I want to tell you exactly how social media is affecting our teens to the point where they're getting depressed, they're doing self-harm, and committing suicide. But most importantly, how you are key to helping them before it's too late. So what happened in 2011 that triggered all of these issues in our children? Well, 2011 was the year where ownership of smartphones spiked up and social media went from being optional to being mandatory. But first, let's look at 2009, where the National Study of Drug Use and Health found that merely 5% of teens were connected. But in 2017, 70 to 75% of teens were already connected to social media. Partly because social media is social. If you're not on social media, you're left out. And even if you are using social media, you still feel left out because your friends are doing something fun where you didn't get invited. You see the post and you're feeling left out. But there's other results that are connected to social media, like social comparison. Who has the most followers? Who has the most likes? And then we have body comparison that's causing great damage in their self-esteem. As a result, there's a short-term popularity that's leaving them vacant and empty. Between 2011 and 2013, self-harm went up by 62% for older teen girls. But for pre-teen girls, it went up to 189%. And it's the same pattern for suicide. 75% for teen girls and 115% for preteen girls. There's a whole generation that is more fragile, more sensitive, and more depressed. Girls are going out on dates less and less and getting isolated more. The problem began to escalate when both male and female teens started to spend way more time online than with their friends and started to sleep less. They were spending more time doing things that were not healthy for their mind and doing less things that were good for them. In the movie, The Social Dilemma, it gives us much insight of why social media is so addictive. In this film, former CEOs, former executives, and ethical engineers for Google, for Facebook, for Instagram, Twitter, and many other platforms were interviewed. And they give us the plain truth of how these companies, these platforms were intentionally created to help us become more addicted. Tristan Harris, for example, shares that he graduated from Stanford Persuasive Technology Lab, where he was taught to be persuasive at another level and to modify the user's behavior to the point where it becomes unconsciously a habit. When Facebook saw, for example, that tagging friends on photos was a hit, they dialed it up, making us be on our phones more time because we were getting more notifications that we were being tagged. In short, Social media platforms have three main goals in mind. Number one, to get us more engaged. Number two, to get more people connected. And number three, to show us their ads because that's how they get money. Now, technology is not the existential threat here. It's about technology bringing out the worst in society and society becoming the threat against each other and against self. So is all social media bad for us? Not necessarily. As Tristan Harris says in the film, it's a utopia and a dystopia at the same time. Social media can be a good thing, but there's no regulations or laws around this digital usage. As parents, we need to demand that regulations be set by the government and not by these companies. And that laws are passed where the users are the ones being protected instead of these companies that are growing bigger and more powerful. We cannot eliminate technology completely, but we can lessen the time that we spend connected. By making changes in our home and by setting some ground rules, we can start by deleting some apps that we really don't need and by turning off notifications. And I know your kids are not going to like this next thing, but how about setting some ground rules at home? Some good changes for the sake of our family, like having no devices in the bedrooms during bedtime or during meal times. Or number two, no social media until high school. Or how about number three, working out some time budget thing with your kids where they know this is the time to use electronics only. I know these are changes that are going to cause a battle between your kids, but I can assure you that soon you're going to be having a new teenager at home, a better teenager. Your teen will have much better health, much better sleeping at night. They will have more one-on-one conversations with you as a parent and be available to do more fun things outdoors, like enjoying nature. As I end today, I want you to remember that you can help your child get out of depression and to stop doing self-harm by gradually helping them get out of the addiction of social media. You might be your child's only help. Begin taking some steps towards a better future for your teens. Take some action today. I already started to implement some of these rules at home with my teenage daughter. She wasn't happy at first, but I noticed that she started to make some good changes. She was sleeping better at night, being in a better mood at day, and eating better. And our relationship has been better ever since. Thank you.